Today in the shop, we tried to take advantage of a day that was bright and sunny in the beginning, and we expected it to get warmer and warmer, and instead the day just got colder and colder. But we had a lot of things to do today. We had 3 trips to make in the course of the day, 3 different errands, and in the end of the day, we wanted to stop and see progress on the construction job by the kids' house, and it turns out they built a giant tent over the whole back of the house, and they had this giant propane heater that was heating the whole area like a circus tent. I was impressed, and I was thinking how nice that would be to have that in a garage from time to time, but I'm not sure that's a practical thing. But it heated up a tent where you could have a circus. It was pretty impressive. And today promises to be a very creative day because Karen has errands. We have things other than errands to do with the family, and we wanted to go over and see the progress on the kids' house. And they poured I think they poured the concrete yesterday or today, and they started moving their stuff into my garage. I got a vanity there. Pretty soon I may not be able to move the motorcycles out of the garage, so I got to get my last picture of the garage before they move stuff in here. I don't know if they're moving or not. I'm just making that up. Make my life so exciting. Anyway, we do have to coordinate a lot of things today, but that's something that Karen and I usually do pretty well. And every time I come out here, I look at the tail section and I just think, what a magic thing if Yamaha had only painted that tail section. I think they really dropped the potato there one way or another. But the first thing is, yesterday it was way too cold and clammy and crappy to paint. Today it's going to be a beautiful painting day in about a half an hour. I already have it all backmasked. I'm going to shoot the primer. Then we're going to go do some errands, come home, shoot the blue. We're going to go do other errands. And then we're going to go over and, while the clear is drying, go over and see the construction progress. So it's going to be an exciting day. But then every day that's not a Groundhog Day is exciting. The only days I regret are days that I've already lived and the groundhog comes out and says, you already did that already. You already moved back. I hate Groundhog Days. So you can see we already have some of it. That's the vanity for the kids' house. And there's more stuff coming. I don't know how it's all going to play out. But of course the family's going to cooperate, work together. And I'm excited to see how this is going to come out. This construction work on a house should make their life a lot nicer. So we did take the fender off yesterday's video. And believe me, getting that fender off is not a 5-minute job either. It's a little tricky. And of course easy to do once you have the video. And I actually have 2 videos out there now of changing the fender. Anyway, there are some good tips on that video. But the first thing is, we're going to get in there and paint, get the primer on before we head out for errands. And even though we have a lot of ice on the pond still, it's going to come up above freezing very soon. We'll be able to prime. As Jimmy Durante used to say, start off each day with a smile or a cup of coffee. Of course, the coffee always tastes great on a cold day like today. I want to see how that fender came out. Now I may have to press the tape down just a little bit just before. And again, I have it under, of course everything is under a heating vent. That's why we have the workbench here, a project bench. I'll repress that down with my finger with just a little bit of effort. And then that part actually be ready to prime. Now once I get these all pressed down and the temperature's already up above freezing, we're going to go out there and get a coat of primer on this. It's all prepped up on yesterday's video. So that was one of my motives yesterday. I never want to try to paint on one of those rainy days. Boy, does that come back to bite you at some point in time. But anyway, we are ready. This just couldn't have come out nicer. And I think that little bit of blue on there, that method I showed of laying out the tape, get a little preview of what it's going to look like. I think it's going to look really good when it's done. So the primer that we're going to use, it's going to say primer sealer, and the idea is to get a smooth light coat on, but where the tape edge is, I don't want to build up and have a thick tape edge at the end. I'm going to try to minimize that tape edge, but going over any carbon fiber part, any plastic, I like to have, or old paint, primer, and it's got to, see how the word is twice the size too, so you don't make a mistake. Primer, sealer, and I have not found any difference between Duplicolor or Rust-Oleum. They both work equally well. So the idea of the primer here is not to get a lot along the tape edge. It's worked out pretty good. I put this in fast forward because otherwise some of my friends fall asleep watching this. Maybe I fall asleep too. Actually, the primer laid down pretty nice and it was already above freezing. All right, that's going to sit under a heating vent, which in this house, that heating vent almost never shuts off. The primer will dry up. When we get back, I'll mix up another batch of blue and be ready to paint the blue. And that has laid out so nicely, it should really be nice. I should be able to get all the painting done today. And by the end of the day, have it up by a heating vent. So I know these videos go out a couple days late, but just to congratulate Dale on his newly born today grandchild. And I have his binky here from the last time he visited, and then the time he came with his granddaughter, who of course is named Dale too. So kind of cool. Dale, congratulations, even though it's a little late. Okay guys, while I'm having my final cup of coffee here, I don't want you to wipe out all the seeds. You're only getting one thing of seeds today. It's above freezing. When do we get our new coffee maker? Tomorrow?
Yes.
One more day with the coffee maker. Oh my, we put a lot of mileage on these coffee makers. Our favorite time of day. Time to do errands. Time to make this a no groundhog day. Karen typically reads more than one book a week, and so we're good customers here at the library. And of course we have to buy nothing but vegetables. The bride never makes a chance that we would ever run out of vegetables. Veggies every day. Okay, now we can get back to the farm and get the blue painted before it gets colder. It's getting colder by the minute. Okay, it's time to spray the blue before, and the day is, we're losing the day very quickly here. And it seems like it's getting colder. Okay, now it's time to see how this dried up. Mix up another batch of blue. It's Cromax blue. Oh, that dried up beautifully. Right under a heating vent. Ooh, so nice. And we'll be ready, and we are losing the weather by the minute. It is blowing like crazy out there right now. And we've been using the Cromax blue. It's a custom mix by Dennis at Gavin's, and it's worked out real well for us so far. The Cromax blue sprayed out beautifully, and I put always light coats with the small Harbor Freight gun. I move it up into fast forward because otherwise, and I don't want all my friends to fall asleep, and some of them do, in fact. But anyway, the blue went on great. It laid out nice. This was looking like it was going to be a pretty good day. Well, the way this played out, this is going to dry up beautifully. We have a couple more errands to do today. We'll get that done. This will be dry by the time I get back. And when I get back, we'll mix up the clear. Assuming we don't have a hurricane or something out there, something we can't control. So far it looks really good. Well, we may lose the weather here. I don't know. That wind was howling. Well, we don't know. We always have to go to war with the army we have, with the Cromax we have. But in this weather, the heating vent always works to our favor, that's for sure. I like to stand under here and drink my coffee, in fact. Now I know some people, some of my friends even have spray booths or interior places to paint. I've spent my whole life painting outside and getting used to just being, like I am today, a slave of the weather. While the blue is drying, we have a few more errands to do, and we are really losing the weather here though. I hope I get home in time to do the clear. And we always have to do these errands, but the nice thing is the blue paint is drying. It's unbelievable. We're shopping in the ShopRite and there's nothing on the shelves. I don't know. Not good. Well, it's a good feeling to be home and know that we haven't lost the weather yet. We'll be able to get that clear on soon. Yes, boys, extra seeds. Are you guys going to come down and help me shoot some clear? Yeah, I get it. I heard that answer before. Oh, it's good. It's good. I love this color. To me, this purpley blue, it's Yamaha Racing Blue. I think that is one of the nicest colors for a motorcycle ever. And we are going to be ready to shoot clear. This has been a crazy day, and it's not over yet. We got one more set of things we have to do this afternoon. But I thought I'd be really sharp about this. I'd get the first coat of clear on, let it dry, which I like to do, 20 minutes, half an hour. Always good to let the first coat get nice and tacky. And then put the last coat on when I get back from the end of my... We have to go see the kids, and we're going to see Buddy. So that would finish off this day like a Super Bowl victory. All right, time to mix up the clear. And as always, the weather, it's blowing out there. Like, you just can't make this stuff up. Now, a couple of things that have worked well for me. Over the years, I keep the tip, all the little parts that go in the front of the gun, in a jar of acetone when I'm not using them. So it means none of this is filled with paint. At the end of working with any two-part, I run about a third of this of acetone through it, take the tip off, put it in a jar of acetone, and seal it up, even to the point where I usually put a piece of tape around because I don't want the smell of the acetone in the shop. Now, another good little tip is to have a pair of old needle nose pliers for getting these little parts out of the acetone without having to dump it and get it all over the place. That's a good little tip. Now, another useful tip, I always put a line when I know I'm not going to need a whole gun load of paint to do those two little parts, and I mix it carefully. It's not, I don't think this is critical. I wanted to show that. I don't think this is critical. I never have to really put it to the test, because when we used to spray Imron, we used to vary it and thinking that we could make it dry harder and modeling and do other things, and it never seemed to make much of a difference, to be honest. So I don't know, maybe that's critical, maybe it isn't. I wouldn't take my word for it anyway. We do need to mix this up though, 4-to-1. And thank you, Joe Padula. I want to get the numbers of this. The hardener, and it's fast hardener. And this is the clear we've been using for the whole last year. So whenever I'm mixing a small batch, of course I'm very, very careful to get it. The smaller of a batch you mix, the more important I think it is to keep it as close to 4-to-1 as you possibly can. And anybody that, if you go back into the 80s like I do, spraying Imron, I sprayed model planes with Imron before anybody I know in the world of model planes. And I was, Raleigh McDonald and Bob McDonald and I were experimenting with Imron, and boy, oh boy, was that stuff ever toxic. This stuff we're spraying now, anything 4-to-1, you have to wear a mask. And even if you spray it outside, I will wear a mask. Now I found, and it's a good thing, this is an easy way to do it no matter what you're painting. I like to have this almost like a big airbrush. I'm spraying over and over and over and over, but I'm not putting on 10 coats of paint. I'm putting on very, very thin coats. And what happens, this first coat will tack up like flypaper in a matter of 15, 20 minutes. When I put the second coat on, I put it on a little bit wetter, and the third coat, even a little wetter than that. And the real thing to be aware of is that when the weather is really cold like this, the one thing not to do is put on one big, thick, gloppy coat. It almost guarantees you'll get imperfections and runs. Now, by the time we're doing the second coat, the wind was picking up to where it was. I'm glad I didn't have a lot of painting to do today, just these small areas. But again, the trick here in cold weather is paint it like it's coming out of an airbrush. And do it in a lot of light coats, not one big thick coat. And you can see how nice it glosses out. It just takes a lot of time to do it that way. And of course in the summer, you don't need to do that. But look at the gloss you get on that. And when you look at that paint real close, you can see the sparkle in it, the pearl. That's one of my favorite colors. Now by the time I got the third coat of clear on, and we were leaving it about 20 minutes or so in between coats, doing errands, and we just had so many things to do today. Karen had a list of things you don't even see on the video, but when I'm painting like this, there's always gaps when I have to sit and wait for it to dry. And if there's errands to do, it's not a big deal. Or you just have a cup of coffee or whatever. But in the end, I wanted that to be all nice, thin, light coats. So I got all the clear on this, and it's time to head out to the kids' house and see the progress on their construction job. I got that big box of their furniture here already. I have a feeling more is coming. Boy, this laid down nice. Now I put this on thin coats, almost like you would do it with an airbrush. And I try to get each coat to dry from 15, 20 minutes, get it tacky, and boy, it came out great. So tomorrow, I'll come out early in the morning, take this out of the garage. By then it won't have any smell to it or anything. It'll be done outgassing, I hope. And put it up by the heating vent. A couple hours later, we'll be ready to buff it out, put it back on the motorcycle, and of course, see how it looks. So it's our third set of things to do today. We're running to the kids' house to see their construction work progress. I got to give these guys credit. They're working in some brutal conditions here. And how do I know? Because I worked in brutal conditions myself. That's what I need for my garage. Hey, when you're done with this, I need it for my garage. Woo! Wow! I could use that in my garage. Wow, you got it framed out already, huh? The whole block is in?
We're all done with that back.
Wow.
Pouring tomorrow.
Wow. How thick did they make the slab? Okay. Okay, girls, I'm standing by the heater. Where are you standing? Look at that. Karen, feel the heat from that heater.
Yeah, you're good.
He's going to give me that heater for my garage. Man, you don't know this thing. I can feel this 10 feet away. How not? It's warm in it. Look, he made it like a tent. How cool is this? Wow. I'm impressed.
Yeah, it's in. We're happy. We got it back filled.
We could get some giraffes and a lion and have a circus here.
Like semi-easy just because it's nice out. Yeah. I would rather roast. I'll tell you that this is too much work.
Oh, Wendy, I want to come home with you to your garage and keep the motorcycles warm. Oh my God. See, this is all going to be level, and then this is the storage area. You can walk in. This will all be storage, and this will be the deck. The level that's going to go right to the kitchen and the family room. I should have brought my Fender over. I could have four-stride it right in front of this. Oh, boy, would I love to have that in my garage. Woo! And while I was painting, the wind was blowing. Boy, it's blowing right now. Oh, man. Woo! What an adventure. What an adventure. So now that the kids have all this extra storage, it's just high enough you can get a motorcycle in there. I'll be able to buy some more collector bikes, which Karen said, buy all you want. Right, baby?
No.
No! Who said no? Oh, we're back from the kids' house. I wanted to check my paint is drying. Can you imagine how nice this garage would be with that propane heater? Oh my God. It was that's amazing that they have that big tent. They have the whole backyard in a tent from the garage to the house. Anyway, this has been one wacky day. I thought I'd share a little funny story about the FZR, and I wish I had taken pictures of this because it's a pretty funny story. To get historic plates, you have to make it look like the bike is totally stock. So what happened is I had taken some pictures of the bike, and I had it, the fairing was off and the fenders were off and different things like that. And John said, no problem, just put the bike all back together with zip ties or just lay the fender on a wheel and everything. And he made a picture that looked like the bike was totally stock, photoshopped it. And you need two of those pictures to get by DMV and get your historic plates. I remember that. It's a funny story. It's part of the FZR legacy. Having a Ferrari bike many, many years. I think I've had this bike about 10 years now. And this is the funniest thing of all. In the winter, when I decided I wanted to evil twin it, I took it all apart. And I mean, it was down to the studs, and I had bought a new seat for it and got different parts, different mufflers and whatnot, this and that and the other thing. The fairing parts. This turned out to be a 900-hour restoration. And God knows it was one of the coldest winters that I've ever lived through. I remember laying out on, that's Luciano's old carpeting under the bike right there. His Bordello rug. And laying out this stripe, I thought I'd mention this. Anybody that has ever laid out tape, this is the tape I'm using on this job, the overage. I bought $100 worth of this striping tape, laid this out in the freezing cold. Turbo Steve came over, he made some suggestions what to do. But the thing is with this paint job, this was so complex. It goes around corners, around edges. It lines up the front, the back, the side. It's unbelievable how much work it is. But boy, when it's done, it's a killer. And I have enjoyed, every time I look at this bike now, I enjoy looking at it. I enjoy owning it. I enjoy the memories of that cold winter. But boy, oh boy, doing that bike, that was the coldest winter of all time. And John and I made basically John did the FZR logo. We went back and forth. But that's the thing with an evil twin, is I've really had two motorcycles without ever having to pay another registration fee, or the worst thing, another tax to the government on it. And I've enjoyed having 2 separate motorcycles. And the big thing is that I enjoy more than anything else is having my channel. I enjoy making the videos. I enjoy going on the rides. I enjoy the projects. I try to share what I've learned over 60 years of painting things, and probably just as long riding. And my career of riding goes way, way back, way back. And I'll give you an idea how you can tell. You go to a grocery store, and where the cigarettes used to be, there's vaping supplies now. So you know, that tells you how old you are. When you can remember when cigarettes were in the front and there was no vaping. Just gives you a clue. I go way back. I like to share all of the photos and video I have on my computers, and all of the things that John Pothier, among other people, has helped me with. We've just enjoyed the world of motorcycling and the friends we've made over the years, and sharing it all on YouTube. Well, I don't know how much better than that it really gets. It's just amazing to me how much fun it is. And when I see all the great videos on YouTube of other people sharing information, sharing their rides, modifications to their bike, some of the things they've done, I think it's great. And I really do enjoy sharing video every day. It's a wonderful thing that we have. All of the options that we have right now to communicate, to gather, to get together, to meetups. Thank you, Dale, for all the things, and the people that run the Ruts Hut meetup. The Javits show, which Turbo Steve is famous for showing his bikes off there. We live in a wonderful time, and I think it's the best of times ever. And having all these bikes to share, I'm not sure it can get a whole lot better than this. And maybe it's as good as it's ever going to get. And thanks so much for watching, and we will hopefully see you tomorrow.